Okay. Hi students. Next topic is interface specification. Okay. What is mean by interface specification? What is its use? We are going to discuss now. An important part of any design process is the specification of interface between the components in the design. Okay, they are telling important part of any design process is the specification of interface between the components in the design. Okay, the interface design is the concerned with specifying the detail of the interface to an object or to a group of objects. This means define the signatures and semantics of the service that are provided by the object or by the group of object. Okay, interface can be specified in the UML using the same notation as a class diagram. Means they are telling interface can be specified in the UML, nothing but unified modeling language, using the same notation as a class diagram. Okay, however there is a no attribute section and the UML stereotype like interface should be included in the name part. Means they are telling there is no attribute section. Okay, in interface there is no attribute section, but the UML stereotype interface should be included in the name part. Okay, you can observe that like this. Okay, these two are example. One is reporting and another is remote control. You can see that interface. Okay, stereotype in UML you are going to add the stereotype like interface is included in the name part. Okay, and you should not include detail of the data representation in the interface design, as attributes are not defined in an interface specification. Means here we should not include the data representation in an interface design, as attributes are not defined in the interface specification. However, you should include operation to access and update the data. Means you should include operation to access and update the data. As the data representation is hidden, it can be easily changed without affecting the object that use that data. This lead to a design that is inherently more maintainable. Means they are telling that the data representation is hidden. It can be easily changed without affecting the object. Means in data representation it going to hidden, so it can easily change without affecting the object. Okay, that use that data. This lead to design that is inherently more maintainable. Okay, for example, an array representation of stack may be changed to a list representation without affecting the other object that use the stack. Okay, this is the example of the data representation hidden, where you can change without affecting the object. Next topic is design pattern. Okay, design patterns were derived from idea put forwarded by Christopher Alexander. Means this data design were derived from idea put forwarded by Christopher Alexander. He is the main person to lead the design pattern, okay, who suggested that there was certain common pattern of building design that were innately pleasing and effective, okay, means he is the person who suggests for the design pattern, because common patterns of building design that were inherently pleasing and the effective, okay. The pattern is a description of the problem and the answers of its solution, so that the solution may be reused in different setting. The pattern is not a detailed specification, and they are also telling that design patterns are not a detailed specification. Rather, you can think of it as a description of accumulated wisdom and experience, a well-trained solution to a common problem, okay. Means you can use this design pattern as a description of accumulated wisdom and experience, a well-tried solution to common problem, okay. And what is the definition for patterns? Here, patterns and pattern languages are always to describe best practices, good design, and capture experience in a way that is possible for others to reuse this experience. This is the definition of pattern and pattern language, okay. Design patterns are usually associated with object oriented design. This design patterns are associated means usually associated with our object oriented design. Published pattern often rely on object characters such as inheritance and polymorphism to provide the generality. We know that what is meant by inheritance, nothing but some of the feature will be carried or passed to their low levels, that is inheritance. Polymorphism means same polymorphism means it going to something occurs in several different forms, that is polymorphism, okay. Next, the four essential elements of design patterns were defined by Gang of Four in their pattern book. Means they are going to ask one question, explain or mention the Gang of Four of design pattern. Means you have to mention this 4 points, okay. First point is a name that is meaningful refers to the pattern, that is one, that is Gang 1. Gang 2, a description of the problem area that explains when the pattern may be applied, that is second one. Third one is a solution description of the pattern of the design solution, their relationship and their responsibilities. This is not a constant design description. It is a template for a design solution that can be initiated in different ways. This is often expressed graphically and show the relationship between the object and object class in the solution. A statement of the consequences, the result and trade-offs, okay. The graphical representation, okay. This is the graphical representation. where this is one pattern, it going to change to another pattern. Okay, this A, B, C, D are represented in the circle, where here you can see that the pattern is changed here. Okay, this is observer 1, this is observer 2, means graphically represented the pattern. Okay, you are seeing this table. This is nothing but observer pattern. Okay, this pattern can be used in situation where different presentation of an object state are required. Okay, this containing the pattern name, description, problem description, solution description, and consequences. Okay, means what is the pattern names is observer. Next one is what is the description. You have to write the description. Next, problem description. What is the problem in that pattern? We should write. And solution description. We should write the what is the solution for the problem and consequence. And overall, the summary we should write in the consequences. Okay, this is one example. Okay, and I shown that how we can graphically represent the design patterns. This is the example. Okay, next, pattern supports high level concept reuse. When you try to reuse executable components, you are inevitably constrained by detailed design decisions that have been made by the implementers of these components. Okay, they range from the particular algorithm that have been used to implement the component to the object and type in the component interface. When this design decision conflict with your particular requirement, reusing the components is the either impossible or introduce inefficiency into your system. Okay, means they are telling when this design decision conflict means not understanding with your particular requirement, reusing the component is either impossible or introduce inefficient to your system. That is the problem. Use pattern means that you reuse the idea but not adopt the implementation to set the system that you are developing. Means you are only reusing the idea here but not the adopt the implementation. Okay, that is the use patterns means you are reusing the ideas but not adopting the implementation. Okay, next, implementation issues. What are the implementation issues? A software engineering include all the activities involved in the software development, from the initial requirement of a system through to maintenance and management of the deployed system. We know that software engineer include all the activities from the scratch to maintenance and management of the deployed system. Deployed system means after delivery to the customer and customer is working means, and that time also we are going to give the service. That is the maintenance and management of the deployed system. A critical stage of this process is, of course, system implementation, where you create an executable various of the software. Implementation may involve developing programming in high or low level programming language, or trialing and adopting generic off-the-shelf system to meet the specific requirement of the organization. Okay, some aspects of implementation that are particularly important to software engineering, that is reuse, configuration management, and host target development. Okay, what is meant by reuse? Most modern software is constructed by reusing executing components or system. Okay, means they are telling that our modern software is constructed by reusing existing components and a system. When you are developing software, you should make such use as possible of executing code, that is reuse. Configure and management. During the development process, many different variants of such software components are created. If you do not keep track of these variants in a configuration management system, you are liable to include the wrong version of this component in your system. Okay, means they are telling during the development process, many different versions of each software components are created. Okay, if you do not track of these versions in a configuration management system, means one there are many versions of a software will be there, so we should keep track of that many version, like version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4 ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಡಾಕ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿರಬೇಕು. ಇಫ್ ಯು do not document that versions, means component, this include the wrong version of this component in your system. Okay, so we should maintain the track of the versions, that is configuration management. Next one is host target development. Production software does not usually execute on the same computer as the software development environment. They are telling that production software does not usually execute on the same computer as the software development environment. Okay, rather you develop it on one computer, means host computer, execute it on separate computer, that is target system. means ಒಂದು ಸಿಸ್ಟಮಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ವೇರ್ನ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸಿಸ್ಟಮಲ್ಲಿ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಸೇಮ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮಲ್ಲಿ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಓಕೆ, ದಿ ಹೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಟಾರ್ಗೆಟ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಆರ್ sometimes of same type, but often they are completely different. They are telling that sometimes host and target systems are sometimes same, but often they are completely different. Okay, we are going to discuss in detail reuse, configuration management, and host target development. First we will discuss reuse. From the 1960s to the 1990s, most new software were developed from scratch by writing all codes in high-level programming language. From 60 to 90, new softwares were developed from scratch. Nothing but from scratch means by writing all the codes in high-level programming. The only significant reuse of software was the reuse of function objects in programming language libraries. So we adapt the reuse. Reuse ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ we can reuse the function objects in the programming libraries. However, cost and schedule pressures mean that this approach becomes increasingly unavailable, especially for chemical and internet based system. Okay, reuse. Software reuse is possible at a number of different levels. There are abstraction level, object level, component level and system level. Okay, in this level, in this 4 level, the software reuse is possible. The abstraction level, at this level you do not reuse software directly. Means in abstraction level you should not use software directly, but rather you use knowledge of successful abstraction in the design for the software. Means you should use the knowledge of successful description. Okay, here design pattern and architectural patterns are way of representing abstract knowledge for the reuse. Okay, this is abstract level. Here we are not going to use reuse software directly, but rather we are going to use successful abstraction. In object level, at this level you directly reuse object from a library rather than writing the code yourself. Means here we are going to use directly reuse the object directly from a library rather than writing the code yourself. Okay, to implement this type of reuse you have to find appropriate libraries and discover if the objects and methods offer the functionality that you need. For example, if you need to process mail message in a Java program, means suppose you have to create the process mail messages in a Java program, then you may use object and method from the Java mail library. Means we can reuse this object and method from the Java mail library when you are going to develop the processing mail message in the Java program. Next one is component level. Components are collections of object and object classes that operate together to provide related function and services. Okay, this is component level where you can reuse. You often have to adapt and extend the component by adding some code of your own. Okay, an example of component level reuse is where you build your user interface using the framework. This is a set of general object classes that implement event handling and display management, etc. You add communication to data to be displayed and write code to define specific display details such as screen layout and color. Means they are telling you add communication to data to be displayed, write code to define specific display details such as screen layout and color. System level. Here at this level you reuse entire application system. Means in this system level you are going to reuse entire application system. This usually involves some kinds of configuration of this system. This may be done by adding and modifying code or by using the system own configuration interface. Okay, the most chemical system are now built in this way, where generic COTS, nothing but canonical of the self system are adopted and reused. Sometimes this approach may involve reusing several different systems, integrating this to create a new system. They are telling that sometimes this approach, nothing but system level, may involve reusing several different systems and integrating this to create a new system. What is the advantage of reuse? By reusing existing software, you can develop new system more quickly with fewer development risk and also lower cost. This is one advantage of reuse. Another one is, as the reused software has been tested in other application, it should be more reliable than new software. These are the two advantage of reuse. What are the disadvantage? In the form of cost of reuses, the cost of this time spent is looking for software to reuse and assessing whether or not it is meets your need. Means cost of time spent in looking software to reuse means ನಾವು ಏನು ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಫಾರ್ ಲುಕಿಂಗ್ ಫಾರ್ ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ವೇರ್ ಟು ರೀಯೂಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ assessing whether or not it's to meet your need. You may have to test software to make sure that will work in your environment, especially if this is different from its development environment. This is one disadvantage. Where application, the cost of buying the reusable software for large off-the-shelf system, the cost can be very high. Sometimes reusable software buying cost is very high because large of the self system, the cost can be very high. That is another disadvantage. The cost of the adopting and configuring the reusable software components or system to reflect the requirements of the system that you are developing. Means the cost of adopting and configuring the reusable software components or system to reflect the requirements of the system that you are developing. Okay, means cost of the adopting and configuring these reusable software components are systems to be reflected requirements of the system that you are developing. Here cost is very high of adapting and configuring. Last disadvantage is the cost of integrating reusable software element with each other and with the new code that you have developed. The integrating reusable software from different providers can be difficult and expensive because the provider may make conflicting assumptions about how their respective software will be reused. Means when you are going to buy the reusable software or system, who are giving the means who are provider of the system may be not so flexible when he was giving their own product to us. It may be they can demand for the more cost. That is another disadvantage. Okay, enough for today. In next class I am going to explain in detail about configuration management and host target development. Okay, thank you.